What's up guys, it's Jacob or DazX here, coming to you guys with a new video. Today's video will be going over the Balance Druids, how do they perform in Mythics, what are my opinions on it, and how to best optimize your class for Mythic Dungeons. Now, a lot of people on my stream have been recently asking me, what talent should I be using for Mythic Dungeons, why should I be using them, why should I use this instead of this, what are my opinions on Boomkins at the moment. So this video will be covering all that, but instead of that, I just want to go over, thank you guys so much for 1,000 subs. This is a huge milestone for me, and last month I was at like 200 or 300 subs, so I can't thank you guys enough. But other than that, let's get into the video, and hope you guys enjoy. Now, starting off, I think these talents right here are the most beneficial to anyone who's playing Boomkin right now, who is going to be running Mythic or Mythic Plus in the near future. Now, if you guys are just starting out, I'll be going through why I use these compared to other ones, so sit back and let's go through it. So first off, we have Force of Nature. I use Force of Nature because of the utility that it brings to a raid. Now, it's really good. Now, the only reason I really use this because, think about it this way. If a tank pulls a lot of mobs and everyone in the whole raid's taking a lot of AoE damage and the healer is not able to pick everyone up really quickly, Force of Nature can take aggro of all the mobs in a small pack, make sure the healer gets reset, get everyone back to full HP. And that allows us to execute the mobs a lot faster. Now, this provides a lot of utility for the dungeon group just because it helps save lives. I mean, there's really no other way, ifs and else's about it. Mythic Plus 2, it helps with a lot of the prefixes and affixes, so you can use that as well. The reason I use it over Warrior of the Elune is because the damage output from Warrior of the Elune is not as significant. So I'm not really concerned about my damage as much. I'm more concerned about the utility of my group than the actual damage, because it's not like Warrior of Elune is some insane amount of damage. It's damage for sure. It does do more damage, but it's not so significant to the point where I have to take Warrior of the Elune other than Force of Nature. So as well, we have Wild Charge. Now you could kind of go between like Wild Charge or Tiger's Dash. Personally, I like Wild Charge just because with Boomkins you're actually able to fly backwards, and it's really beneficial for me specifically, just because you never know what happens. You might, stand in something wrong. So I personally enjoy this one a lot more. We have Typhoon. Typhoon's really good. It's just another knockback. Easy enough. Just, if someone's casting something, if someone's casting a spell or something like that, easy to interrupt. It's pretty simple for that one. So we have Soul of the Forest. Now, Soul of the Forest, I use this one over all the other ones just for dungeons because you get 30% more damage off your empowerments from solar and lunar spells. And as well, you get a Starfall. It does not cost 50 AP, it costs 40 AP. So this is really good. It costs the same as Star Surge, and you're actually able to clear dungeons a lot quicker with this because you don't have to farm as much AP just to use your Starfall. Now, Star-Lord's really good, don't get me wrong, but it's really just good on one target, so it's not as much uptime as you would like it to be on trash or even throughout bosses in that short of a time frame. So I think Soul of the Forest is the best option to use here. Now, Twin Moons. Now, Twin Moons, you guys could use all three of these if you really wanted to. I've never really been a big fan of Stellar Drift just because it's not really my playstyle. I think Twin Moons is insanely good right now just because if you pair it with Power of the Moon and you have 2 or 3 stacks, preferably 3 stacks of Power of the Moon, you will do insane DPS just by spamming Moonfire with Twin Moons and 3 stacks of Power of the Moon. Now, I take this over Stellar Flare as well because Stellar Flare would be only used in raid fights if there is not a single ad that spawns throughout the whole raid fight. Now, Stellar Flare is really good, and it actually is better than Twin Moons only if there is one ad. Like one ad being one boss. There is no other ads that actually go spawn whatsoever. Going through the so basically I'd always go with Twin Moons on that one. Also, we have Fury of the Elune. Now, Fury of the Elune, this one is insanely good just because it clears trash insanely quick. At a 45-second cooldown, this can get you a lot of AP to get you up to your Starfall quicker as well. And you can just start using this, start casting your Moonfires and clear trash insanely quickly. Now, Shooting Stars, you guys might be asking, is really good too. And I agree. I love Shooting Stars a lot, right? But for Mythic and Mythic Plus Dungeons, I think Fury of the Elune is going to be the better choice just because clearing trash really quickly is going to be a huge part of it. And especially in BFA, I've noticed, well, a lot of people have noticed this too, there's a lot of trash in these dungeons. So you got to make sure you guys, adjust to that and be able to perform as fast as you can to get through these keys, So I think Shooting Stars is really good, but I think if you guys want to get through Mythic and Mythic Plus faster, Fury of the Elune is a better option here. Now that is why I chose those talents, guys. Hopefully it clears it up somewhat for if anyone has any questions. But other than that, let's get into why and how I think Boomkins are performing in this expansion. So going over what I really think about Boomkins and Mythic Dungeons right now, I think they're actually really strong. I think a lot of people are looking at the DPS sims and they're like, oh, they're starting to get a little panicked, and I don't really see why. I've done a lot of dungeons already, and I'm a pretty high item level, and I want to go over like why I think this is this and all that kind of stuff as well. I think that Boomkins are doing extremely well right now, just because they have amazing traits that make them very, very good for utility-wise, like Force of Nature. Their clear speed on trash is insanely good, especially when you spec 2 or 3 traits of Moonfire. Power of the Moon, and then you get a Fury of the Elune. You have insanely good clear speed throughout the trash, and it'll be extremely beneficial to your group because you get to the boss faster. And I think, watch this prediction, guys. Mythic plus Boomkins will be probably needed in every group for selling those runs. They probably make a lot of gold off it too, just because I think Boomkins for clearing trash are going to be so good when you stack certain traits all together. Now, you could also probably use Lunar Shrapnel as well. Due to the nerfs that we saw before BFA got released, it's obviously, not as good as we saw in beta, but I think that it can still see some play, maybe in extreme dungeons like Motherlode, but personally for me, I love Power of the Moon. I think it's such an interesting trait that was added to the game, and I can't really see going or changing from that as well. Now, if we want to look at the single target fights that we all know Boomkins kind of struggle on and people are really worried on, there's a lot of interesting traits that we can stack that can make it so, we're doing a lot more damage. And people ask us a lot, why am I doing really low damage when I'm doing single target fights? And it's really all about stacking your traits right and making sure you have the right talents. Now, these two make it so Boomkins are kind of confusing because there's so many different variables that go into providing the most DPS as possible. Now, here are some of the traits that I really do like to run or even stack when I use Boomkin in these type of dungeons. Now, first off, we're going to be going over Stricking Star. Now, Stricking Star is an insanely good trait that was added to the game. Obviously, we know that every time you cast a spell that is not the same as the one you just previously casted, you get an additional added damage bonus while you have Celestial active. Now, this is insanely good, especially when it's paired with all 3 of them and when you have Incarn going as well. The burst damage that comes out from this is around like 20 to 25k, if someone from my stream said. And sadly for me, I only have 1 piece of Azurite gear with this trait on it, so I have not actually been able to test this, but numerous people have been telling me how OP this is and how they might actually use it during raids. The issue for me seeing this is I think it's going to be insanely good with Mythic Plus dungeons, just because the boss fights don't last that long. Obviously, if it's like a tyrannical week, bosses are going to fight a little bit longer, maybe like 2 to 3 minutes per fight, maybe, and that might not be the best because basically what this trait stacked does is it provides a lot of burst damage for 20 to 30 seconds at most, and then it kind of decreases from then on out. So it's really good, don't get me wrong, but there could still see some problems with it. So next one, going to Thunderous Blast. Now, Thunderous Blast is insanely good when you stack 2 to 3 of these as well, just because you begin a lot of these procs and get a lot of crit chance going through this. Really good trade overall. I really do enjoy this one. I only have 2 of these though, and see, one of the issues that I've gone and I've found out is that I'm not really getting that lucky with Azurite drops. I'm getting really the same ones over and over and over again. So what I really want to see happen next week is me to be able to test a lot of these traits out, and then hopefully, try these different builds out. Because one of the builds I also really want to try is High Noon. Now, High Noon, this is a really, really, really interesting build, guys. Now, this build basically goes over, all you have to do for this build is stack 3 traits of High Noon, and then you have, I can't even think about it. You stack 3 traits of High Noon, and you just spam literally Sunfire. That's all you have to do. That's it. Obviously, you'll have your Moonfire and your Sunfire active, but you'll also want to do Star Surge when you have enough AP for it. So it's basically Moonfire, Sunfire, Sunfire, Sunfire until you have 40 Astro Power, then Star Surge, and then rinse and repeat. That's all you do for single target fight for this build, and that's literally just three traits of the High Noon. Now as well, you have Dagger in the back and Razon's Fury. Now these as well are really, really good because Dagger in the back, usually when you're fighting a boss, you'll be behind them. If anything, just tell the tank to face the other way. You'll be able to get a lot of stacks, maybe 3 to 4 if they're facing the wrong way. So having those stacked all together is really good as well. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know. So far, I do think Boomkins are in a good place right now, and as obviously as we can see in the near future with the 370 coming out, we see Boomkins are not the worst, which is really, really good. We don't have to worry as much, but I think Boomkins are in a really good spot right now. I don't see them getting a nerf. I do not see them getting a buff either. You know, who knows though? You know, we just saw the Pharaoh buff that was coming, but that one was really needed, so who knows, guys. But I really do love Boomkin at the moment, and I hope you guys do too. If you guys have any questions at all, don't be afraid to ask them in the comments below. I can't even talk. Long stream today. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and come chill out in the stream, guys, at twitch.tv/DazaX. And I will see you guys later. Peace.